I mean, I was in a girl band. So of course you get the guys that come up and like, oh, you want me to tune that for you and stuff? It's like, no, I know how to tune a guitar and I know how to get a sound, but if you want to meet me at the end of the show, you can help us lug the shit into our van. That would be nice. So Palmyra Delran, I have a band called the Doppel Gang. I have another band called the Coolies, but I like ripping it up. No, I mean, I've always been into music. Kind of started out playing drums, and I just wanted to write songs, you know, so that's kind of what got me playing guitar. Like when I first started, it was just kind of like just playing around in the basement and seeing what I could, you know, fool around with a million pedals and stuff like that. But it's a process, you know, it really is a process, the creative process. And you got to decide, like, what's actually a good song? Like, what's a good set of lyrics? So it's the process. And once you can, like, get yourself, your ego out of it, like, just because I wrote it doesn't mean it's good. I mean, I got a million shitty songs. But then there's that fine line of, like, maybe it is good and you don't really recognize it yet. Because I've had that happen too, where it's like, I don't know about this. And then a friend will be like, oh no, that's really good. So once you really focus on your craft, that's when everything gets better. You know, like really play that guitar, practice. When I actually started making records, that's kind of when it really was like, oh, I can do this. I can really do this. So I started in a band playing drums. We put out a couple of records and it was really a mind blower to see that thing like spinning. It was like, oh my God, that's my band. It's totally cool. And then I started another band called the Frigs, an all-girl band, and we put some more music out and actually went on the road. So it was like, oh, cool. Like, we didn't get that much money, but we were out there in different towns, sleeping on floors in a sleeping bag. So that was really when I felt like, oh, I can really do this as a career. It took long to, you know, really to get to a place where it was a real thing, but nothing beats those days. How can you not be inspired to see a woman on stage when you're a little girl and you're like, oh my God, I wish I could do that, you know? I feel like Debbie Harry was like completely, you know, responsible for, you can be poppy, you can be creative, you can be beautiful, and you can kick ass, and she's still doing it. She really broke through a lot of those barriers. And also bands like the Go-Go's and the Bangles who have managed to like bust through the mainstream and still continue to be true to themselves. And I really feel that the connection there is if you stay with your vision. Like, I think that those bands really had strong visions. It's like, here's my record, boom. And you know, I think you have to know when to listen to people that are trying to give you good advice and when not to. And to me, it's like, I told a manager this once, we hired a manager, and I said to the manager, I will never budge on my musical vision or my style. You can just totally just rip right through those taboos, and I think those women did that. Well, another inspirational woman that I've actually had the good luck to work with is Kim Shattuck from the Muffs. I'd known her for decades. She passed away in 2019 from ALS. And towards the end of her life, she wanted to start a band because we'd been joking about starting a band together for 20 years. And we were always like, if we lived next door, we'd have the best band. And I'm like, yeah, we would, but we're on the opposite coast. So when she was ill, she wanted to have a band with me and Melanie Vaughn, and we did it. We took some of her demos, we added our own stuff to it, and we actually released a record by the band The Coolies. She wanted to be called The Coolies. And we did it, and that was definitely one of the most rewarding records I've ever put out. And every dime went to ALS research. So that was a really important project for me and Melanie. All the clubs in the city, they see me coming. If I have a gig, they pull out their AC-15s because they know that's what I want to play. The thing I love about these amps is there's reverb and there's vibrato. I usually carry a vibrato pedal with me, but I don't have to. I don't like lugging stuff. I'm always like, you know, downsizing, and the least amount of stuff I have to carry. If I don't have to carry a pedal or 2 pedals, that's why I use these little tuners, because I don't have to carry a tuner. So that's always really cool. And you can get the best overdriven sound out of these things too. And especially with the AC-15, you don't have, if you're in a smaller club, you don't have to worry about it. You can still get that distortion because you don't have to turn it up as loud to get that cool, like, sweet spot. So that's what I love about these amps. Well, I have a really cool show at the really cool station called Little Steven's Underground Garage. And my show is called Palmyra's Trash Pop Shindig. It's the best creative outlet that I've ever experienced, aside from being a musician. We play the best stuff. It goes from the 50s all the way to the current stuff. It's 4 women DJs. It's Kelly Ogden from the Dolly Rots, Comelina, myself, and Genya Ravan, who was, you know, just a classic, you know, pioneer. First all-girl band that ever played their own instruments. If I could, you know, for some reason, be an inspiration, I would love that. I would love to be able to, you know, hear somebody say, oh man, I love your band. I'm gonna pick up the guitar. I mean, what's cooler than that? You know what I mean? Like, I've gotten letters from like younger girls who were like, I'm starting out a band, and what does the producer do? I mean, that's like so cool that like she heard me talk about a producer and she wants to know what that producer does. So maybe she'll do it. So that's always a kick, you know, to get the feedback like from the radio station. You know, that's always fun. I think that every artist sort of has a little bit of responsibility to pass the torch to the next generation of women or the next generation of punk rockers. You kind of got to pass that torch at some point. Well, I just released a single on Wicked Cool Records, a little pop song that dates back to my old days in the Frigs. Our bass player, Mitzi Dodge, wrote the song right when we were imploding. So, and it never really got out of the demo stage, but I just kept thinking about that song like for 10 years or whatever, and I was like, I'm gonna record that someday, because it never really got recorded properly. So during the pandemic, we all masked up. We went into Little Steven's studio in New York City and had a blast for the day. So it's called Lucky in Love. It's out on Wicked Cool Records. And the B-side is a cover of a Tough Dart song, which is an old band from New York City in the CBGB's days. I'm also working with Melanie Vamman on some more of Kim's stuff for the Coolies, new Coolies record. And I'm always writing my own songs, so I'm looking forward to getting back in the studio with my band, the Doppel Gang. I just can't stop. It's too much fun. Still having fun, so that's another thing, you know? When it's no fun, stop doing it.